So, it's been a while, and we've been really busy in the background. From working on our cars, doing trips, finishing uni, working day jobs, and reaching 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. But now we're back, and we're gearing up for the biggest year of Aussie Arovos yet. But first, I've been doing a few things during our break. Mainly getting this 30-year-old Land Cruiser ready for some of the biggest missions we've ever done. And we're starting with a complete interior and access overhaul, turning what was once a messy waste of space into what is a usable and practical modular storage solution that anyone can build at home.
Well, Patrick.
What do you think?
This is very impressive. The people will be very impressed.
So accessing the gear in your four-wheel drive is super important, especially when you're doing long trips. Now, I've had these slide windows in the AD obviously since it was made, and they might be fine for, having passengers or kids in the back, they can crack it and get a bit of airflow. But when you're pulling gear constantly in and out through them, they just get hard. They're not the easiest thing to firstly open, and secondly, the room you get isn't great. You can pull a chair through there, but you can't pull any tables out of any big recovery gear bags. It's just too hard to work with. Now, another thing with these is because this car is 30 plus years old now, these seals are getting pretty old. It's starting to hold a lot of water, a lot of moss and other life forms are starting to grow in it now. And if this starts rusting, that can transfer into your body and then create major problems. So it's definitely something I've got to address. And now I think the only solution to those two problems is to replace this old double slide window with a gull wing. Now, we've seen gull wings before on this channel. We've put them in Dan's car and he absolutely loves them. And there's been, there are reasons why I haven't put gull wings in my car for, 2 years now. I've been waiting for a certain one, and this is that one. So let's get the box open and let's get into it. And this is why I waited so long, because I wanted a glass one. Now, the reason I wanted a glass one is that I really like looking through at my 12-volt box. Like, it has all my little diagnostic panels about my voltage and amps coming in and all that. And whenever I walk past my car, I just glance at it and I can see, oh, my battery is not dead, it's charging, or the solar's getting me a good charge here. I didn't like the idea of having a blanked off panel and not being able to see what's inside the car. I also really like the factory look of glass on the car. I can see why people like the aluminium look, but personally, I just prefer the glass look. So this is what I was really waiting for, something like this that could replace those old slide windows, but do it in a way that's gonna give you better access, but also, retain a really factory clean look. So obviously you've got to pull the window out. Now, you can use pries and all that, but because this has been there for a while, it should not be held in by too much. That was actually not too bad at all. Look at that, no rust. And I guess the other sad thing is too that you have to start your sticker collection again. But as you can see already, just like the access that we're gonna be able to get without having that stupid divider down the middle, it's gonna be awesome. Now, I'm not gonna go through every single step on installing this Emu Wing because we've already done a really good run through on it with Dan when we first did it on his car. So I'll leave that video link below if you wanna check out how to do this step by step. But it's all pretty straightforward. We're just putting the pinch weld on now, making sure to put that in the middle.
And there is an included instruction manual on how to install the Emu Wings on your specific vehicle, so it's super straightforward to follow. The reason I like the Emu Wings is that they don't require any holes to be drilled in the car, and they're completely reversible, which is always important for me for any modification I make to the vehicle. I was lucky enough to borrow a few clamps off Dan, and these are all you need to hold the frame in place to set overnight. And while the frames were setting, we removed the cargo barrier because we had to reposition the mounting brackets on it in order to clear the hinges on the wings. Emu Wing do make a version of their wings to suit cargo barriers, but this was not available in glass. But this solution was really simple and we had it securely mounted back in the car in no time.
Alright, so with the cargo barrier securely mounted now in the car, this frame has had the time to dry. It's been drying for 24 hours now, so we're going to go ahead, bolt the actual wing on, and then it should really start coming together. So let's get into it.
And we'll just get it because obviously you can adjust it. So just sit it on there.
That looks sick. Looks so neat. I like it. I knew I wanted glass. You can see this hot box there. This looks sick. The glass looks so clean. Oh, it looks. I was absolutely stoked on how this thing turned out. That is sick. We attached the gas struts and laid down the weather seal, and it was good to go.
Alright, so the Emu Wings are in the car. Before I show them off to you, I'm going to go ahead and wire in all the 12-volt gear, so the little USB plugs, the light and all that. So we'll get all that hooked up, and then I'll show you them all working.
The pretty cool thing about these lights is they're actually switched by a trigger, meaning once they're all wired up, they can automatically power on and off by you opening and closing the wing. I'm absolutely stoked on how these Emu Wings turned out. They've been awesome to use in the couple trips I've done with them, and I'll be keen to share how much of a difference they make in the new setup. But now, let's go on to the next project that is really going to change how convenient this wagon is to camp out of.
Alright, so I think it's finally time I do something about this middle row of seats that I no longer have in the vehicle. So it is a two-seater now, which is, you know, a thing. But I did speak about this when we first put in the rear drawer system, that one day, you know, I'd love to make a storage solution for back here, because let's be honest, like, this is a great and a huge amount of room, but it just never gets used to its full potential. Like, Anya and I will go away on holidays, we'll start piling our clothes and whatever in here, and you know, a couple days into the trip, this thing is just like a mess, because you stack some things, but then you lose all this space here to put stuff. And now I want this car to be set up that we can do some seriously, you know, big trips and live out of it comfortably, sustainably, like have something where you can really carry all that gear and make it like a livable space that you can like go onto over a long amount of time and, you know, visit all these places. And that's the dream. That's the whole idea about this vehicle to me. I want it to be like a tough tourer, like somewhere I can point it down any track and it'll do it, but also, you know, go and visit all these places and spend multiple days on the road, and the car's going to be able to be up for it, and you know, we're going to be happy living in it. So that's the sort of idea. So this got me thinking about my wish list. What do I need in the car? What's worth bringing? Because you can throw all these things in your car, but at the end of the day, you're adding more weight into the vehicle, which adds more stress, worse fuel economy. It all adds up, so everything's like a compromise.
I knew I wanted to bring more water in the car because I found the 2 jerry cans of water on the back weren't quite enough to keep up with the showers and whatnot that my girlfriend Anya loves. And it wouldn't be a bad thing to have the option to store more water for some of the more remote trips we have planned next year. We also knew that some more organised storage options for bulkier items such as chainsaws or camp ovens would be welcomed, along with dedicated separate compartments for both Anya and I to store our personal belongings. So I did some measuring, worked out what gear I needed to store in the car, and made up a bit of a plan that I could use to make a materials list. And with that, the build began.
Alright, so I've been shopping. I've got myself a water tank. This is a 55 litre poly water tank. It should do the trick. It's slimline. It's sort of designed to put in like a dual cab ute or something, but it's going to sit perfectly in the rear seats, hopefully in the footwell there.
Perfect. So sort of the idea with putting the water tank, you know, up here, I guess in the center of the car, is obviously because this is 55 litres, it's 55 kilos, you know, it is a bit of weight. We want to keep that weight as low and as centered as possible in the vehicle because, as you know, I've already got a lot of weight hanging off the back of the car, so putting it as far forward as I can sort of helps balance that out a bit. I mean, the car's going to be a lounge yacht after this, like but the idea, we're going to try and make this storage system as light as possible, you know, but yeah, we'll see how we go.
And once again, I've got Liam helping me out on this project because he is the welding guru now after he did the patrol trade.
I don't know about that.
I think you are. So the idea, we're sort of going to use, like, the idea with this car, I don't like doing anything that's not reversible. So the idea, we're going to be using the pre-existing holes for all the seat bolts to basically build this, you know, help support the whole frame. So Liam's got some flat plate steel now, and the idea is this is going to sort of bend around these factory rear seat mounts, and that's going to start making up our frame.
Building the frame out of steel will give us the strongest base for the new storage system. We use light gauge square tube to create a frame that would support our plywood false floor. We decided on a 3-leg design to give more room underneath for pulling bulky items in and out of the car. The frame will sit alongside the water tank, which will be held down by straps between the front seats and the frame.
Shake the whole lift the car.
It wasn't long until Liam had the frame fully welded together and we could clean it up for a fresh coat of paint.
Alright, so now the frame is all completed and secured in the car, we're going to start building the actual flooring that's going to house the whole storage unit itself. So I'm lucky enough that Dad's got a heap of spare ply lying around that we're going to use this to cut up. I got Anya here to help me not only get the measurements right, but just like get it to how we want it for our setup. So we're pretty amateurs at this, but we can give it a crack, start cutting it, and get it all in the car. So we'll see how we go.
So the first step was to make the floor. For this I used 19mm ply and notched it where it would fit around the seats to act as a parcel shelf. We then began building the shelves themselves. For this I used smaller 12mm ply as I wanted to make the setup as light as possible. Using the circular saw, I could quickly make all the cuts I needed and start assembling the shelves. Each shelf would have a divider in the middle, making one side of the car Anya's and the other side mine. And I replicated this for the second shelf, with each shelf using the other shelf's top lid as its floor. Now it was starting to look like something, but Anya requested for some extra dividers on the top shelf for storing smaller items. Now, all the ply we were using was recycled from job sites, so it wasn't always perfect. Some bits were buried while others were a little bit mouldy, but free materials are free materials, and once it gets a lick of paint and some carpet on top, you'll never know.
Solid. Alright, so we've got our wooden ply storage bins now all put together. They're actually looking really sick, so we're getting there. I just pulled everything back out of the car because I want to go ahead and sand everything down before we paint it, because we're obviously going to be painting it and then throwing marine carpet on top of it. So now get it all prepped up, get all the edges all nice and smooth, and we'll be ready to put some paint on it.
We then moved on to installing the mounting brackets, because these shelves are going to be completely modular, with each section able to be taken out and run individually. For this, we have angled brackets and bolts that join each section. This makes it super strong while being quick and easy to install and remove.
Alright, so all the woodworking is done, we've test fitted it, it all fits in nicely, so it's time to paint. So we just got some cheap paint from Bunnings, just a black, which we'll be using to basically help waterproof everything and obviously just make it look a bit nicer. We're carpeting the majority of all this, so the paint won't really matter, but it's just good to use it anyway. So yeah, we'll get started, get painting, and yeah, the things should start coming together.
So we spent the afternoon painting the shelves. We ended up doing 2 coats, and the next day we were ready to apply the carpet. The carpet I went for was a charcoal marine carpet from Bunnings. I purchased 3 meters of it and it was a little over 150 bucks. We traced the wood and glued it all down using a contact adhesive. It was a bit of a slow process, but it's worth it as the carpet makes a massive difference to the overall look of the shelves. We also used small nails to hold the carpet in place. This way we knew this stuff would never peel off.
Oh, legit.
Amazing what a bit of carpet can do.
I know, look at that. Awesome. The carpet makes it look so much better. How neat is that? Alright, so the floor is now screwed down onto the frame. We're hoping that we're actually going to be able to tilt that and that'll all come out as one piece, hopefully. So the idea is this whole thing's modular. So we've got our now 2 pieces here that have been carpeted. These are already ready with their bolt holes, so they'll be able to slide right on top and bolt straight in. So all removable, that's the idea. So let's see if it all works.
It might be a headrest out job.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's nice. It's funny, like when you're doing plywood or whatever, playing with it, like it's all wonky.
It looks crap when it's raw. Raw plywood sucks.
Tell you what, a bit of
And even
Bunnings
if it was
carpet,
just painted, it would look crap still. But
Yeah.
when you get carpet, it's not a fine edge.
it sort
It
of
blends together.
Exactly
Any gaps get covered, it all mushes together, you can form it, and it makes it look a hell of a lot
it's
bigger.
definitely worth spending the money to buy carpet if you're doing something out of wood DIY. Like it makes it look profesh. And so the other thing I bought for this, because we've got a massive, essentially blank wall here, really nothing on it, I actually bought something from Four-Wheel Drive Supercenter or Kings, which is a mesh pocket, which is designed to go in their rooftop tents, like to Velcro to the ceiling to be like sort of a pocket holder for stuff. But I looked at the dimensions and they were actually the perfect dimensions for this sort of box. But because it's all carpeted, it should just all Velcro on there pretty easily like that. And then we've got pockets to put things in. So that was my sort of idea, which it actually doesn't look, not too bad. Holds it pretty well, but there's actually some pretty good sized pockets up here. But that's sort of the idea. Stuff like my PLB and all that can literally just sit back here, so easy access. It's all sitting back here, UHF, all that. So that's what I'll do, I reckon.
Wow, Patrick.
What do you think?
This is very impressive.
Mm.
The people will be very impressed.
It came up a lot better than what it was looking.
But also because that looks very profesh.
Thank you. When it's carpeted, it looks a lot. Once you carpet it, make it just a hell of a lot better. All right, so we just had our first trip with the new storage solution, and Anya, was it worth all the time and effort I went to make them?
Yeah, so good. It's so much more organized at the back now. Patrick's luggage and my clothes are everywhere a lot less. And even when you look back from sitting at the front, it just looks so much more tidier and it's just easier to find everything.
Yeah, it just keeps everything way neater and allows us to, you know, stack stuff up, which is, I guess, the main sort of point. So, yeah, I'm pretty stoked with how it turned out.
Yeah, good job.
So between the Emu Wings and the new storage compartments, it's opened up a heap of new possibilities and honestly made the camping out of this car a hell of a lot easier. So I'm really excited to do some more trips with it. And speaking of more trips, we've got a heap of new Aussie Arvo content coming over the next weeks and months. So get subscribed because you're not going to want to miss it.